I mean, it's better than ending with a loss, but I don't know. I think the second the game was over, it's just you're glad you won and didn't play bad, but there's like, man, we were so close to the playoffs. And, yeah, I mean, it's just it's like a weird, bittersweet feeling where you won, and it was, good to go out strong with every team's going to be different every year, and that's just part of the business side of it. But, man, we're so close to the playoffs, and it just sucks that we are going home. So it's kind of a mixed feelings.
What was the prep like as y'all got ready for this week, and why did y'all want to come out and kind of make sure you got finished on a good note?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me and in my situation, starts don't grow on trees, so every single one is important, and I think our locker room, it starts with the type of guys you bring into the locker room, and then the culture that Zac has established. I don't even think there was really a thought that we were going to come out and not play hard for a couple of reasons. I think one, football is pretty physical, and the second you come out not prepared, that's where injuries happen. And I think two, at least for me personally, wasn't made. Nobody really said anything about it, but I think one of the cooler stats there's all these stats that pop up on TV, and one of the cooler ones that I always saw. I mean, I hate the Steelers just as much as everybody else, but the fact that Mike Tomlin has had that many winning seasons, hopefully however many years from now, Zac has that same thing, and there'll be a little bit of that, like, all right, and I guess it's 2024 now. Good thing we got that win. And so the streak's at 3. It's not even close to Mike Tomlin, but it's still alive, and I think that's a pretty cool stat for a coach to have. And, Zac gave me my opportunity and has treated me really, really well, and is the reason I'm still allowed to put on pads on a Sunday. And so I kind of wanted that for him. I think it's a cool stat to have as a coach.
Is there any conversation amongst the players about that stat being a thing, or just something?
No, just something I thought about. I mean, there's a lot of reasons to go play hard. You're in the NFL, and just because you're not in the playoffs, I think you always kind of remembered on how'd you play, prepare, and what was your intensity like when you're backs, and I guess not backs against the wall, but just in games that don't matter. And so wanted to go out strong.
As you said, starts don't grow on trees. How do you think you did over these 7 starts?
I mean, the goal was to make it into the playoffs, so that part, not well. I think as we get further away from the season, I'll remember the good, hopefully, but I think I'm kind of wired to remember some losses that I could have played better. But I think I've established that I'm capable of being a starter in the NFL. It's obviously a weird situation where I feel like, hey, I'm one of the top 32 quarterbacks in the world, and I just so happen to be on a roster with a guy that's proven that he's a top 5 quarterback in the world. And so, what that looks like going forward, I have no idea, nor do I have any control, so I'm not going to think about it a ton. But I think when I go watch all my film to try and figure out what I'm going to work on this offseason, I'll be proud of what I put on tape. But the goal was to go to the playoffs, and we didn't, so that's pretty motivating going into the offseason too.
Besides the obvious of what you said, making the playoffs, when you look back at that first starting opportunity in the NFL, is there anything over these last few weeks you wish you did differently?
I mean, find a way to win one of the last 2 games. I mean, all 3 of the losses, just find a way to get one of those. And I don't think there was really like any overarching theme to them. It's just, you got to find a way to go win at Arrowhead. You got to go find a way to win at the Steelers or at home against the Steelers. So really just figure out how to play better against the Steelers would be kind of the main takeaway. But, yeah, I don't have any like overarching theme. I think that I don't want to have opinions until I watch all my film together, and I think you start to get a feel for like what the things you need to improve on are.
Jake, why was it important for you to reach out to Tyler Boyd in the middle of his press gathering to kind of show him some love?
Yeah, I think TB's, he's been my locker mate throughout this whole year, and I think Jamar and T get a lot of pub, and rightfully so. I mean, they're unbelievable players. But I think TB at least in my experience over the last couple of years here and watching this place, I wasn't here when it was bad, but watching it kind of climb to the next level, I think TB is an unsung hero, or like a guy that pulls a lot of weight in the locker room, because those two guys came here and he was kind of the guy, and those two guys came and it's a zero-sum game. You can't throw the ball to three people every play, and so there's a lot of touches that went other people's ways that but he kind of set the tone that this is not going to be a prima donna room, and that it's just really about winning and going as hard as you can. And I'll always have a lot of respect for TB and just how he carried himself. I think I throw 3 picks against Pittsburgh, his hometown, and in front of his whole family, basically. Come into the locker room, he's like, "Hey man, shake that off. Like, everybody has one of those games." And so I'll always remember that. It was kind of like I said earlier, you remember what people were like when something bad just happened. And so I'll always think very highly of Tyler.
How much are those kind of people important to creating winning cultures and just winning locker rooms in general?
I mean, I think I can only speak to my experience, but I mean, our franchise quarterback goes down. He breaks his, I guess, wrist. I don't remember exactly what it is, but he gets hurt. First play, I come out and we call it naked. It's not like we were, hey, let's roll out to your left and be aggressive. And so that kind of set the tone. Then you fast forward a couple days and Joe's out. He sits up here and has to tell everybody like, hey, I'm out. He's obviously, there's a lot of emotions involved with that, but he immediately said, hey, Jake's going to play great. And I got a lot of confidence in him. And, that was just echoed by him, Zach, teammates. And so, it's an objectively difficult position to just step into, but it becomes much easier when you got the franchise guy saying, hey, I think you're going to tear it up, and great job, and sending me texts after games and being very supportive. And just feeling like there was a lot of confidence in me, whether people were faking that or not. It was appreciated, and I think was a big reason why we were able to string some wins together. Obviously, it was not enough, but I think it's been a special year for me, and I'll always kind of remember just different interactions this year, maybe more so than years going forward or years in the past, just because it's kind of my first time getting some action.
Did Joe say anything to you after today's game? Bro.
I'll keep those conversations private, but yeah, Joe's been great. Which is probably the least surprising thing of this whole year.
There are teams, around the league, their starting quarterback gets hurt and the wheels fall off for their season. Like, almost from a culture perspective here, what led to, some stability down the stretch, even though you guys did come up short?
I mean, yeah, all the things I just said were big, but I think, a big part of that too is I had been preparing for that for a long time. And, I had a lot of support after the Ravens game, after the Steelers game, but there were flashes there that earned that support too. And then we kind of got hot there for a while for 3 games, and there's a lot that goes into it. And I'll give credit to the culture and stuff like that, but there's a big part of it too. Like I was prepared and I was playing well, and so you kind of maybe if there were some people that didn't think it was going to go well, they didn't have a choice but to kind of believe after that.
Jake, if you had right now you have the opportunity to say to people that are in your position, whether it be them on the practice squad and wondering what their futures are going to be, what advice would you give to those that were in the position that you were ahead of the season and taking the opportunity like you did and made the most of it?
Yeah, I think for guys on practice squad, I think there's 3 buckets you can fall into, and you don't want to fall into any of them. You don't want to be the guy that gets cut a few times and loses your confidence. I think the second you do that, you're screwed. But those guys work really hard because they're trying to, build themselves up. I think the second one is the guys that I think they're getting screwed, and there probably is usually a half truth there, but those guys never lose their confidence, but they probably don't work as hard as they need to. And then there's the guys that I'm just happy to be here, and you want to have that in the right situations, like on Sunday when you're in a hoodie, or Wednesday when Joe's going through whatever. Like, you still got to remember you're in the NFL, but you also don't want to be the guy that isn't working hard enough to have your when your opportunity does come, if it comes. I mean, there's plenty of people that it does not ever come. You want to be prepared, and so I think navigating those three buckets you can kind of fall into, take the good with the bad of each one of those buckets, avoiding the bad and taking the good is kind of the way to navigate it.
That was finishing it the right way in your mind?
It was. You know, we challenged these guys to start the game the right way, and I think going to halftime up 24-0. Proud of the way our defense through 3 quarters, held them to 0. Proud of the offense for finishing the last scoring drive with a 99-yard touchdown drive. Thought our special teams units played well all game, and did a really good job in the coverage and the kicking aspects of things. And so again, just proud of the way, because this can be a tricky game, that last game of the season, and thought our guys handled it professionally in the right way as we expected to, and so really proud of the way that they finished there. I'll say this also, really proud of the fans for finishing it the right way too. I thought the turnout today was really awesome, and the support that we've gotten from them. And, it's a game where there's not playoffs on the line and it's cold and there's every excuse not to be here. And so really it was appreciated by myself and our team just to see the support. I looked up in that upper deck and there's people up there, and I don't know if that'd be me, but they showed up and they supported us, and I appreciate that. And we look forward to rewarding them with championship level football next year.
Talk about the milestones kind of happen organically. You see Joe go over 1,000 and Mark get to the 100.
Yeah, you're happy for those guys because the work that they've put in to get there, and to get there, I think for a lot of guys is it's special because they put in the work, and it's our team is so team-based that everybody wants the team to do well and win. But when you get opportunities for guys to hit some of those personal milestones that are important and will be forever documented, in the history of this team, I think that's cool for the guys that were able to do that.
What was your message to the team? You'll see them tomorrow, but you kind of know.
Yeah, just proud of the way that they finished today. That's all we could control, was how we came out, playing with really good energy. I thought in a lot of ways that's what they did. We wanted to win the turnover battle. We wanted to win the penalty battle. And so, again, I think we went in this game first in the league in fewest penalties and third in turnover margin. And one of the things was, hey, if we continue to play disciplined ball and finish high in those 2 categories, like we always do, then you're going to win this game. And I thought they did a good job responding to that.
Obviously came in, said you wanted to win the game, it was a priority, and some of those guys hit milestones, but some of the young guys produced as well. Andre with 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Charlie Jones got involved early.
Yeah, it was good for the game to take shape the way it did, and obviously they rested a bunch of their guys, and so for us to get some opportunities for a lot of guys that haven't gotten a lot of reps, to A, be rewarded for their efforts this season, B, for a launching pad into the future. So I thought there was a lot of guys that got a lot of opportunities and made the most of it.
Does it mean anything not going winless in AFC 1 this year? I mean, is that?
Well, our goals are to win the division, win the Super Bowl, and you've got to fare well in your division to give yourself the best opportunity to do that. And so that's something we're always aware of. We got to do a great job of that moving forward. And it's a tough division. That's well documented. But going 1-5 is in no way, shape, or form acceptable for us. And all we could do was control today and find a way to get a win.
How surreal is it to have a winning record, and you with a winning record and be last?
It's a good division, and we didn't do enough to give ourselves our best chance. That's really what we got.
How would you assess the way that Jake was able to kind of finish the year and take over for Joe?
I was really proud of Jake, and again, you don't get a lot of reps over the course of the season, then you're thrown in the fire, and we were playing really meaningful football and found really good stretches of team winning football that kept us in the chase, and thought he performed very well, gave us a lot of confidence, in the future, for a backup quarterback job. And that's one of those things you just never know what you can really get until they get the opportunity to do it. And the preseason's, we try to make it as best we can, but you're not playing against starting level players and you're not playing with our starting players. And so I thought Jake got a great opportunity. He made the most of it. Really proud of the way the guys rallied around him, and thought that he handled his opportunities really well.
It looked like after the 99-yard drive, you guys kind of shared a laugh with him coming off. What was that about?
Yeah, it was. We were the headset. I was biting on him a little bit in the headset, and so we hugged it out. But it was good. Good communication.
Was he upset with the?
No, we're all good. We're all good. I'm not going to get into it.
I know that contract stuff is probably far removed from everything you're doing right now, but going into this game, do you get a sense that this could be one of the last times you play with some of the key guys who kind of help?
I don't put a lot of thought in that. Those conversations haven't even begun to take place. They do their job upstairs, and then I get up to speed as the spring goes. So I'm not going to worry about that right now.
That being said, do you still how much do you relish kind of the moment of being able to enjoy one last game with this year's group? How much is that kind of part of your thought process?
Yeah, every group, every year, it's that team, and just the way the rosters go. It's things take shape as the off season goes, and it's never the same. And I do appreciate this group, for fighting to the bitter end, and their character cannot be questioned. What they went through and what they gave us this year, and I'm so proud of those guys for continuing to stay together. You never saw anyone pointing fingers. Even if we lost 2 games in a row, you never saw people start turning on each other and pointing fingers. And I think that's the mark of a locker room that's got a great chance going forward. And so, again, just proud of our staff and players for maintaining that throughout the season.
Zach, you've been pretty even keeled the whole year, win or lose. You've been the same. You obviously think that's important. Why, as a head coach, is it so important?
I just try to be true to myself. I don't know that it's important for a head coach necessarily. It's my personality. It's my dad's personality. It's my brother's personality. And so I think that's one thing that my dad has instilled in us, is just be true to yourself, and people respond to that better than if you're trying to fake your way through it. And so that's just the only way I know how to do it.